but the relationship is incredibly strained. That once very close relationship, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as they were then, and Prince Harry, the three of them, very, very close-knit. Harry adored his sister-in-law, the sister he'd never had, but he has said some pretty cruel things about her in his autobiography and also in the Netflix documentary. And I think Prince William in particular is in protection mode.
Something else, Sarah, to reflect on, I think, today is the relationships between various members of the royal family, as reported by the Sunday Times today. And I want to start actually with the King and the Princess of Wales, who clearly were in hospital at the same time in January, at the start of this year. And actually, the detail from the Sunday Times today is quite heartwarming in terms of how the two have been interacting during that time and since then.
Yeah, sometimes over the past few weeks, we might have forgotten that there are human beings at the heart of this story. But if anything is to be a reminder of this, it's the image that is portrayed in the Sunday Times today of the corridors of the London clinic with a 70-year-old gentleman in his robe toddling, it's described, down the corridors to visit his daughter-in-law. That septuagenarian is the King, and his daughter-in-law, the Princess of Wales, who was just a short distance away from him. And so we understand that the King visited Kate several times at her bedside. They had long, in-depth heart-to-hearts during their convalescence in hospital. But also since then, on Thursday of this week, so the day after the Princess of Wales had recorded her video message and the day before it was broadcast, they had a private lunch at Windsor Castle. And of course, they have a shared experience now, this common bond that no one would want to have, in that they are both receiving treatment from cancer. The King's long admired Catherine, his beloved daughter-in-law, as he describes her, for the way she's conducted herself, for the way she's grown into the role, and for the way she's raising his grandchildren. But that admiration has grown exponentially with the way that she has dealt with this diagnosis and her courage in coming out and speaking openly about it.
Yeah. There is also reporting that the Sussexes, i.e., Harry and Meghan, were not told of the diagnosis. They learned with the rest of the world when the video message was published. And I suppose that speaks to some real difficulty that still exists. They did send a supportive message. Harry was here after the King's diagnosis was revealed. But this is sort of a bit of an extra complication, I suppose, in the royal family.
It shows us just how deep that rift is, doesn't it, Callum? It wasn't healed after the King's diagnosis. We understand they didn't know about Catherine's diagnosis until it was made public. They did issue a message, a public statement of support to them, and it has been claimed that they have reached out privately to the Prince and Princess of Wales. But the relationship is incredibly strained. That once very close relationship, the Prince and Princess of Wales, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, as they were then, and Prince Harry, the three of them, very, very close-knit. Harry adored his sister-in-law, the sister he'd never had. But he has said some pretty cruel things about her in his autobiography and also in the Netflix documentary. And I think Prince William in particular is in protection mode here. He feels very protective over his wife. And it just shows when you contrast that the statement, a very well-meaning statement about health and healing. If you contrast that to James Middleton's statement, that lovely photograph of him and Kate talking about us as a family climbing mountains together, and you can only think how desperately William would need his brother right now as a support, and that relationship just isn't there.